Hey guys, back with another video. Ooh, okay, I just fucking want this to be done very fast. I'm a little bit sick, so you know, excuse the voice if I sound like the fucking cookie monster. Today we're gonna talk about that time I confessed to my first love or whatever. God, it's a whole thing. My face is very dry. This is not going to work. The makeup look is only as good as the canvas. So growing up, um, I grew up in a white area, right? And I'm black, obviously. So when you're black and you grew up in a white area, you don't really have the experience of dating that your white peers have. So you kind of grow up thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me. Oh, I must be ugly. Maybe I'm ugly. Maybe I'm the problem, and all of this other stuff. And it's like, no, you just do not live around other black people. Which is funny because during my camp years, a couple guys did like me, right? I went to a pretty much all exclusively black summer camp. And so obviously there people did like me. Boys had crushes on me and stuff. That was just a couple months, right? Summer is only so long. So throughout the most throughout the biggest part of the year, I pretty much had to just grow up feeling inadequate, right? All my friends are talking about, oh, I'm dating him now. Oh, I'm dating him now. Everybody's dating everybody. And I'm just black and single. The biggest problem with it was that, like, it was a blow to my self esteem and my confidence. Naturally. Of course it would be. Fast forward to my first job. 16, I got my first job. Fast food. Not very fun. But we're going to skip the more traumatic story with the first guy that I liked that ever liked me back. Like the first mutual kind of fling, I guess we'll call it. We'll skip that. That'll be a story for another time. I'll definitely tell that story if y'all want to hear it. I'm 17, and there's this new boy. We'll call him Oscar. It's not his name. Oscar was the new guy, and my boss at the time was a fucking raging bitch. Like, she was fucking terrible. She was horrible. The worst fucking person on the motherfucking planet. That was her. Terrible boss, horrible person. I would get in trouble for laughing. Like, she always thought you were laughing at her. If you were laughing, even if she was in the room already and, like, you would think heard the context of why you're laughing, she would still shut that shit down. She was like, employees cannot be friends with each other. You guys are here to work. She was insane. And so she hires this guy, Oscar. Oscar's my age. Now, after this whole traumatic fling that happened with me and the other story that I will talk about eventually. After that whole thing, it was nice to have somebody who was my age, right? Who was a cashier just like me. There was no power imbalance. There was nothing weird going on. It was just two cashiers, and I basically had to train him. So I'm basically showing him everything he needs to know, like this is that, that's this, and like whatever. Here's the sandwiches, here's the buttons that you press, here's how you collect change. Just showing him the whole rigmarole. The finesse of the job. I was just showing him everything. And so, I don't know, we had to close together one night. Now, this is the thing about training. When you're training someone, you get to be with them a lot, right? And then after they're done training, you don't get to see them that much, right? Because you're the cashier that night. So you really just see each other in passing. Hey, I work until 4. He comes in at 4 to take my place. Pretty much, that's how it works. So I knew after I, felt his vibe and, got along with him, got to know him a lot, and I guess honestly it's cringy as fuck, but fell in love with the person I was training. After that, I was just like, wow, I'm so glad I decided to cherish these moments together, because now that I'm kind of done training him, we're not going to work together anymore. I'm not going to see him as much. That's just how it goes. And so that's literally what happened. But there was so many fun times, the laughs, the giggles, everything. There was so much good shit about our time working together. I was just like, wow. And then every time we saw each other, it was just such a good fucking vibe. And so my confidence and my self esteem being where it was, and finally having a guy who's my age, who I didn't feel like was trying to get anything out of me, having a good relationship, a nice, healthy relationship with a man, just period, honestly, I think. Having that was just so addictive to me. So, like, honestly, there's a conversation that could be had whether this guy was even my first love or not. I could have been confused, just like, here's the first time I'm having a genuinely good teenage relationship with another man, with a man, period. It could have been something like that where I was just like, wow, man, male attention. So yeah, I was like, okay, whatever, cool. Like, sadly, I'm done training you, but we've made a pretty good friendship, so let's just see where this shit goes, right? And so we had each other's Snapchats and everything, and we would, just keep in decent contact. And there was several red flags that, like, hey Aaliyah, he don't like you like that. Like, you're doing a lot. Like, I was like, let's do a streak. He's like, no, I really can't manage that. And I'm like, well, how hard is it to send a pic every day? Like, it's not hard, you know what I mean? And guys, I forgot to mention, but there were several dates. Like, we went to this wing place. He bought me wings. We went somewhere else. He paid, you know what I mean? So it was like we went on several dates, and it was like, okay, while I was probably a little delusional, partly traumatized, there was good reason. There was reasonable doubt to believe, hey, maybe we both like each other? Question mark. Maybe this is mutual? Question mark. There was reason to believe that. And then, like, just he never talked about girls around me, which, from the traumatic experience I had prior to him, prior to Oscar, there was a traumatic experience. That wasn't the case at all. That guy would always talk about other girls. And I was just so void of male attention and male validation. And I guess it matters. These guys were white Hispanics, right? And so their validation meant a lot to me. Oscar and the guy I'm alluding to, the first guy who kind of traumatized me. So pretty much, I had reason to believe that it was possible, a romance was possible, whatever, whatever, whatever. I had reason. He never talked about any girls or nothing like that. So I'm like, wow, like, he's not seeing anyone or nothing? Cool. And then I remember in passing a couple times, he was like, ha, my hose. And I was like, that's a thing guys say. Like, I don't, like, is he being legit? Does he actually, like, is he seeing someone? But he's the type of guy where he doesn't post girls on his story or nothing like that. So I'm like, okay, well, it's possible he is, but it's possible he's not. We're going on dates and stuff, so I'm gonna just believe that he's not. I'm gonna just believe that I have a fucking shot here, right? And the craziest thing about it is he wasn't even completely my type. Usually I tend to go for, like, the guy who's kind of tall, buff, looks like he can throw me across the room. I usually go for that type of guy. But he was different, and I was like, I'm totally okay with him being different. Like, this is fine. I like this guy a lot. And so I was like, I'm going to ask this guy to prom. And so I did. And he said no. My dumb ass. Oh my god. I did a whole promposal. And I made a video about this on my channel once. So, long story short, I asked him to prom. He said no, which he was completely in his right. I felt entitled, so I kept pushing. And he's like, no. And I was like, oh my god, like, are you dating someone? And he never told me, and I found out that, yeah, he was, because some bitch took his phone once. And she was like, y'all females really think Oscar is single? He not. I'm his boo boo boo. And I was like, oh, okay, like, wow. But this was months after I had asked him to go to prom with me. This was months after, and I was like, wow. So he had a girl this whole time, and I was just like flabbergasted.